Welcome back to Rock Guitar Confidential with Scott and Ryan. On today's episode, which bands are scientifically proven to make you sad and angry? Today we're going to find out. Stay tuned.
Oh, sweet. We're at a certain time signature.
Yeah, dude, we're going to record this episode at 147 beats per minute.
Nice. Delish.
So make sure that you
speak only in quarter.
Yeah.
I can't speak in quarter notes. I speak in eighth notes.
Oh.
So everything I'm going to say is going to be in eighth notes. That's what I'm going to say.
That is a great idea. I prefer eighth note triplets. Too many syllables. Shit.
I cannot speak it this fast. Eighth note triplets.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, aren't you glad you tuned in? See that there's the extent of our rap career right there.
Yeah, I just what I think what it is. I start talking and it starts becoming rap, and I just have to stop myself.
Did your organs begin shutting down?
Like, oh my god, I can't be part of this. Like part of my body's like, I can't be a part of this rap thing. It's just not gonna happen.
Indeed. Well, speaking of things that frustrate our internal organs, there's.
Are we talking about Taco Bell? Is that where we're going to go with this?
No. I remember I began mentioning this on the podcast last week, and this is all relative to my criticisms of Star Wars
good Lord.
and Disney as a whole.
The great, amazing, best franchise in the world, Star Wars.
So,
beloved by all.
I don't know, man. I think like maybe like Wendy's is a better franchise. It's more delicious.
These Frosties. That's the main thing.
I would rather have a giant Frosty than watch Obi-Wan again.
I will say this. This is going to take a different tangent, but I think that Dairy Queen is actually a very underrated franchise.
Totally.
Who doesn't love Blizzards, man? Blizzards are the best. If I'm going to go ice cream treat, that's the way to go.
Totally. Well, and their chicken fingers have to be on point because there's a lot of competition in the chicken space.
Chicken tition.
Yes.
I just had actually something I didn't realize even existed. My son had his birthday here recently, and
hey, congratulations!
Thank you. I
nice.
Just had him live for another year.
That's awesome, and many more to come. I hope.
Of course. He's a kid. Of course he is.
Yes, right.
But no, we discovered something called a blizzard cake. Did you know this existed?
A blizzard cake?
It's an ice cream cake, but it's basically like a blizzard. You can go and have like an Oreo blizzard or like
I thought that's what you called hikers that died on Mount Everest.
A blizzard cake?
A blizzard cake. Their bodies are just turn into blizzard cakes up atop the mountain.
It's more jerky.
It's more jerky.
It's really blizzard jerky.
It's more like Otzi the caveman.
I can vouch though. Getting back to something, it's not horrifying. That the blizzard cake is awesome. It's really good.
Rad.
So and beloved by all children and adults who feel like they're children everywhere.
Awesome. It's complete. The cakes are completely dead hiker free, right?
Exactly. Like 97%.
97%. Some of it's. I mean, it's processed.
It just happens in the factory.
Right.
Dead hiker just gets in there.
It can happen.
They don't know how it happens. Like, why is there 2% dead hiker in here? I don't know. It's manufactured up tree nuts. Too,
the Dairy Queen plant is at the top of that mountain, right? I mean, the real estate was
how
cheap.
convenient. How convenient to have it right there.
Well, there's they've got access to all the ice
and all the dead hikers.
And all the dead hikers.
So that 2% of the blizzard that they have to have, it's got to be in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's funny. If you actually look into the details, it's actually pretty horrifying about if you look at say, I think of chili, like a can of chili, I know there's like a certain percentage of rat feces that are acceptable.
Oh, yeah. Well, chili, if I may be mistaken, but my understanding is that chili was invented during the Civil War to mask the taste of rancid meat.
I would not be surprised if that was true. Or to enhance the taste of rat feces.
Yeah, well, right.
One of those two things is true.
Hey, you know what? That needs to be a cooking show where they're just like, here's this rancid food item. Yeah. Now here's the basket of ingredients.
Here's a bucket of rat feces. Make this edible.
Yeah, like it's one thing when it's random ingredients of good stuff, but make it one really bad thing.
I actually used to like the cooking channel in Food Network back when it was actually about cooking. It wasn't just all competition shows and stuff like that. It's like I don't care about can you beat Bobby Flay? I don't care.
I don't care if you can beat Bobby Flay, right?
Just make something awesome. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? And
now, if he were Bobby Flay, if his name were Bobby Flay because he carried like a giant meat cleaver and
he murders
murdered his competition, actually flayed them.
He's actually a serial killer. This whole show is
it'd be like Weird Al's UHF, like Conan the Librarian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
don't you know the Dewey Decimal System? him.
Right, this book is late. And he chops the librarian right in half.
That's true.
So Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay. That makes sense. I think he's actually just kind of a cooking guy. He just does restaurants and stuff. I don't think he actually is a murderer. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he is. I don't know. I'm not trying to besmirch.
Well, you never know.
I'm not trying to besmirch his bad name. I don't know.
That'd be a great cover though, because you could walk around with like a bloody apron all the time and just be like, "Yeah, I'm
he's
a
just
chef."
a cook. What he does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what?
he's just what Bobby Flay does. That.
Yeah, he'd be like the Sweeney Todd, the culinary Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, the Food Network Sweeney Todd. Makes sense.
Yeah, Sweeney Flay.
Sweeney Flay.
Yeah. So
right, guys,
before we get way too far off topic though, so I really
actually we were on topic. What topic were we?
Well, off topic. So my gripe this week.
Actually, real quick before we go to the gripe, hold that pen for 1 second. Welcome to the Rock Guitar Confidential podcast with Ryan and Scott. Go ahead, Ryan.
It has come to light that there is a 100%, it's complete, it's in the can, it's mixed, it's mastered, it's animated. There is a Predator versus Alien anime.
Oh, okay.
Miniseries. Like, it's done. They finished all the production. It's ready to be released. And Disney is sitting on it. They acquired it when they purchased Fox.
Oh, so it had already been in the offing before they even
It's
got that.
done. Like,
Oh,
it's
okay.
complete. Like, post-production, it's all they have to do is press a button and go, bink. Now you can watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're sitting on it.
Well, and I think that would probably go on Hulu, right? That'd probably be where they'd put it, I would think.
They might just bury it.
But why? They already put the money into it. I guess they just write it off, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Because little kids can't watch
Well,
it.
it's anime. I mean, anime is not necessarily for little
It's-
kids anyway. Attack on
right.
Titan is not really for little kids.
No, not at all. Although,
you know
I think kids are better if they experience some
Horror.
like, horror and trauma in their entertainment. It teaches them how to cope with fear.
Man,
but anyway,
speaking of which, you see the Witcher anime thing that they did?
I saw a little bit of it. I really liked the series with Henry Cavill, but
I love it. I
I'm
love the
bent out of
series.
shape that he's not going to be
Yeah.
on the show.
I agree. That season 3 is the last one with Henry, which I think, come on,
Right.
Liam Hemsworth's going to be the
Dude, they're replacing him with the lesser
Yeah.
Geralt
Geralt of Rivia is me.
Geralt of Rivia, yeah.
Hemsworth. No, I'm sorry,
Dude,
it's not.
what?
Even if it was Chris Hemsworth, I wouldn't be on board with that.
Yeah,
what I mean?
and so here's why you should follow your favorite band, because if they're still making albums, like you can rely on that. It's an album, it comes out, and you have it, and you can listen to it for the rest of your life. It's not like watching a TV series like Raised by Wolves on HBO,
it's
which was
gone,
yeah,
yeah.
right. And then David Zaslav murders it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I got to believe the Alien versus Predator anime is going to drop at some point, because it's just money's wasted if they don't do that. You know what I mean?
Dude, they can't market it to itty bitty children.
But
so
there's stuff
it's
they
gonna
make
get
for
buried
Hulu
forever.
that's kind of adult oriented, though. It's not like they just do. I mean,
I hope.
Yeah,
I hope I get Predators.
it couldn't go on
and
Disney
Xenomorphs.
Plus or anything like that. But
I hope I get some animated chest bursters in my future. But
I gotta tell you,
I'm
man,
not going to count on it.
I'm with you. I love Aliens and Predators. I think they're two great flavors that go great together. It's just
Totally.
really, really cool. Actually, I do like the two movies they made. I thought they were pretty fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wish it was more like story oriented rather than, hey guys, isn't this so cool? Look, there's a predator and oh, there's some aliens. Now they're going to fight a little bit.
Yeah, they've done poorly as far as that goes. I thought Requiem was better. The violence was definitely better.
I just felt like it was more. I wish the story was better.
Yeah, I
You know what
agree
mean?
completely. I don't
just,
care about any of the characters ever.
I care about that too, but you could weave.
No,
it
I mean,
together
like, I
better
don't
way.
care about the characters.
You mean
in
like
those
they didn't
movies.
make you care?
Yeah, they didn't make me care about the characters.
I mean, the first one a little
wholeheartedly
bit more
agree.
so than the second one. I thought the second one was a little bit more sort of. It was more just violence and let's have horrible things happen to people kind of thing.
Which is fun.
But I would love to see like a real story. The kind of like I really liked the movie. Was it Predators? The one with Adrian Brody.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one. If they had that and then weave the aliens into that, that would have been a lot more interesting because those are really cool characters that they had within that one.
Or take all the action and violence of Predator Requiem and then just fold that into like Obi-Wan or something. That would be so great, right?
All right. Yeah, one last thing before we got to get on to our topic for today,
Yes.
which is the Henry Cavill thing. I just saw The Flash this week. And
Oh, yeah, how was that?
I liked it a lot, actually. But they showed a scene of Superman, but they didn't show Henry Cavill as Superman.
Oh,
and I'm like
he
going,
shot a bunch of Superman stuff. For that
and I'm like
too.
going, what the heck, man? And I not only that, but he's not going to be Geralt anymore either. It's like, what is going on with Henry Cavill? He's awesome. Everything he's in, I think, is great. Like, why is this dude like getting cut from Superman, getting cut from The Witcher? Like,
Yeah, it's because the whole DC universe totally failed, and so now they've got James Gunn, the what
he's
is
the new
it?
boss. Yeah,
Yeah, he's the new boss. Guardians of the Galaxy guy. James Gunn. So he's in charge. They're cleaning house. They're starting from scratch.
I get you, but there's some cool stuff. I thought The Flash was actually really fun.
Hey, we won't get Henry Cavill as Superman. Who Superman's not a character I really care about anyway.
He's my very favorite superhero.
Bruh.
So I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he's awesome. Yeah.
If anyone's going to play Superman, Henry Cavill's the guy to do it. But at least no more Ben Affleck as Batman. So
we got
cool.
Michael Keaton back in this movie, which was
That's awesome.
Really cool. He was really good. Anyway, let's move on to some guitar playing.
So on to
you
our
guys
topic,
aren't here for cinema talk.
Well, see here. Okay, so I'll try and like weave everything together.
All right, fair
right?
enough.
So, the reason all this great entertainment keeps getting the reason we get crappy entertainment is because people are dumb.
Well, that's to a degree true.
Right. And
but people are also very smart too. I think that's,
Yeah. So to all you smart people out there, support the bands and the TV shows and the content that you like, so you can keep having not dumb stuff. To
vote with your dollar.
Yeah, vote with your dollar. Absolutely, man. Yep. So there's that was positive, right?
And also, when it comes to political campaigns, vote for smart people too. That would also be a good advice.
So you're definitely not going to be contributing to the DJ Khaled Post Malone presidential ticket.
Who's on top of that ticket? Is it Post Malone or DJ Khaled?
It's probably interchange. I'm sure it's probably DJ Khaled at the top of the ticket with like Vice President Post Malone.
Either that or Pitbull, Vice President Pitbull.
Ooh,
he's from Miami, dude.
I'll bet. Yeah, well, I'll bet Pitbull would be like the UN ambassador.
Yeah,
ambassador
probably.
Pitbull.
He's probably the leader of the Department of Education or something.
Yeah. And then Drake would be the Canadian ambassador.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. Anyway, moving on.
So, you heard it here first, folks. As the presidential races heat up.
We are big supporters of President Khaled.
We've joined an apocalyptic cult, and we're just trying to hasten the end. So
doesn't need our help, my friend.
All right. So today's topic. So recently I got this article on my phone.
It's who's it from? It's
from Louder. I don't know who Louder is.
I bet somebody who talks like this.
Yeah, right,
everything they say is like that.
The author's name is Liz Scarlett.
Nice.
So thank you, Liz Scarlett, for writing this article
and giving us some fodder.
Yes, totally. Thank you for the fodder, Liz.
Exactly.
So the topic is, here's the headline. According to science, these are the bands with the saddest and angriest fan bases. Now, there's a photo below the headline. It's a split photo. On the left side of the photo, there is the dad from American Choppers, James Hetfield. And on the right side of the photo, there's Kurt Cobain. So I thought to myself, even before reading the article, I'd be like, well, yeah, I'd be sad and angry if I listened to Kurt Cobain's music or honestly, or like Metallica.
Yeah, you basically just hate yourself is what you're saying at that point.
Well, yeah, I'd be all bummed because I like stuff that sucks.
Yes.
And that would
I'd be so much happier if my music didn't suck. I don't understand.
Right. I'd be sitting there watching Baby Princess Leia and Obi-Wan just going like, man, I really like stuff that sucks. I guess I suck.
I completely disagree with you on the Obi-Wan thing. That's okay. It's funny. I think if I read the article correctly, it says something to the effect that people gravitate towards certain music because they're happy or sad. It's like it drives an emotion within them. So if they listen, I think the one they mentioned was like Fall Out Boy and what was the other one? It's kind of like Fall Out Boy.
Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, it's like that. They kind of see that, and there's a certain thing that drives them, maybe subconsciously to like want to choose that kind of music.
Yeah. So it says here, quote, the artist most likely to make their fans feel sadness is Panic! At the Disco, which I'm not a Brendan Urie hater at all. I've taught like Ballad of Mona Lisa and some Panic at the Disco songs, and you know what? It's not. I'd rather teach that than a whole lot of other songs.
I think I'm mostly against their brazen overuse of punctuation. There's no place
like that.
There's no place for the exclamation point, man.
Yeah, that exclamation point's just a little bit
Who
much.
do you think you are, Mister?
Oh, okay. So here
flouting our traditions.
Oh, and I should probably back up a little bit. So it says there's a study that was done. Okay, again, quote from the article: by using a data set called emotion, the survey.
Clever.
Yeah, I guess there was a research. They analyzed over 200,000 popular posts and comments in Reddit fan forums and 92 popular bands and artists to find out how they were making their listeners feel. So by using a data set called emotion, the survey flagged various emotive words and phrases present in each community, with the results showing how often these words linked to certain emotions.
Huh.
So there we go. So there's the standard by which this author arrived, or, this.
Yeah, so you're seeing about sad things, it makes your audience feel sad. Or you could sing about sad things in a hopeful way. It makes it cathartic. They're kind of, getting out of their emotions, that kind of thing,
Yes.
So I don't know, man. Let me ask you a question. Like when you listen to, how do you personally deal with that when you're interfacing with music? Do you, if you're feeling down, do you listen to that super positive, upbeat stuff? Do you just double down on the darkness? Like, how do you approach it? Like, what's your typical way of looking at interfacing with music depending on your emotion?
Okay, very broadly, I like one of the things I like playing guitar because it makes me happy, and I like
pride and identity, and
Well, right. Well, and I like aggressive guitar playing. That's why I love rock guitar, because it's fun, right?
Kicks ass.
Yeah, you could be having a crappy day, but if you get to go on a roller coaster that day at Great America, your day's going to be a little less crappy after the roller coaster.
Yep. Yeah.
And, like it's fun, right? I mean,
drive a fast car or something like that, same kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're only alive so long.
Yep.
Right. So why mope? And I'm not a teenager anymore, so like moping isn't like in my
I gotta tell you, I was never a mopey teenager. I don't remember ever being that.
About like the age of like 15, like the awkward years were tough, right? So if you're, I would get it if I were in the age somewhere between like 12 and 15 years old. Like, that's when you want to, sit in your darkened bedroom listening to Danzig and lighting candles.
I have to say, I never experienced that, man.
Yes. Well, at the time I was also mourning the grunge apocalypse.
Ah, that's true. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I remember just feeling confused and angry at that time. Like the grunge. That's when I was like 18, 19-ish. I remember just like I didn't understand what the hell was going on. I was looking around like, what are you guys telling me? Like Temple the Dog is awesome. No, they fucking suck. What are you talking about? Like what's going on? Like Korn sucks too. Don't tell me Korn is awesome.
Well, and this is like pre-Korn. This is like post-grunge apocalypse, like pre-Korn. So this is like 1994, 95, like in the middle of the grunge apocalypse.
I think I was still clinging pretty heavily to like Promised Land by Queensryche and Awake from Dream Theater. So I don't know if I was just like locking myself in a prog metal bomb shelter.
Yeah, dude, I just doubled down. Well, the only place where you could hear new awesome rock guitar, like you had to get heavier.
Yeah.
Right. So at that time, it was all about death. Listening to a lot of death metal. I mean, the band Death, like Chuck Schuldiner.
Yep.
That's a time in my life where Merciful Fate and King Diamond came in really handy.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that stuff was never mainstream anyway.
Right, it was never mainstream anyhow. But like Danzig was cool to listen to, and it also, there was like the Samhain skull on the album cover with the horn. So I knew my parents would hate it. So that was great.
That's so funny, man.
And John Christ signed my Get Out of School note at NAMM
cool guitar
a couple
player
years later.
John Christ was a real player.
Totally cool guitar player.
Yeah, totally, for sure. I don't know. It's funny, man. I've always been listening to like more positive music. I would say like I want music that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
It makes but I also is excellent at the same time. You know what I mean? So if I was listening to something heavy, it would be like something from Ozzy or from Megadeth or Testament. But it was, I always saw that stuff as like very energetic, kind of like, let's do this kind of music. It wasn't sort of like everything sucks, kill yourself.
Well, dude, even if it's something like, even if it is something like those Danzig albums or the death metal stuff, I mean, it's a it does. I don't think it inspires a person to go crawl in their closet and hide and become all introspective and hide from the world. It gives you the strength to go out and face the world head on again, or to stand firm against it.
That's something I always loved about rock. I think that it always appealed to me outside of the excellence of the amazing musicianship of the kind of music that you and I like. I've always liked the sort of I'm going to blaze my own path. I don't give a fuck what you think kind of attitude about rock, which is something I don't find in any other styles of music. It's either like self-pity or sort of like no one understands me, I'm like so weird and no one gets me, or it's like this sort of like almost idiot bro thing, like, yeah, bro, try it fast, bro, that kind of thing. You know, it's not that. It's more about being awesome, and you know what I mean.
Go eat yourself a bowl of corn trucks, brother.
That's right. Give me a hand a tattoo. Yeah, pound 40.
I just got a 5-foot lift on my Dodge Ram, and I'm hauling a ton of corn trucks.
That's like enough for a week for that guy. Man.
I'm hauling a ton of corn trucks to the Mason-Dixon line.
Alcohol and ass, motherfucker. Exactly.
Yeah, forget all that.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah,
it. So,
no, I'm not down.
But that was late '90s though. That kind of music, like anything, the music that appealed.
We're heading down to the tractor pull with a barrel full of corn trucks.
If you weren't listening to Toby Keith, you might be listening to Godsmack. You know what I mean? That's the same
now
person.
Go away.
It's the same person. You know, listening to those two things. You know. So I don't know.
Don't talk so much.
I always thought like there's like when I love Van Halen so much. Is Van Halen was always like, we're gonna have a great time. Everyone come here have a great time too. Everyone's cool. We're not gonna, you know. It was like a very positive sort of vibe, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, so was Ozzy with like Mr. Crowley, you know what I mean? Like,
Ozzy was very multidimensional though. He had like a lot of different stuff. You know, if you listen like say Steal Away the Night, or you listen to like Over the Mountain, that's got a very aggressive sort of, but positive sort of adventurous.
Oh, dude,
sort of
me and my buddy
it.
Tony used to go snowboarding, skiing occasionally, and dude, we would just put Over the Mountain on repeat as we drove
Da-na-na.
over the mountain to go skiing and snowboarding. That's a good memory, man.
You can't kill rock and roll. There's like, I mean, if you get into the Jake stuff, like Lightning Strikes, and I always love rock
Killer
and roll
of Giants.
Killer of Giants. Was it A Secret Loser? It's a really cool song.
Yeah, Secret Loser's all right.
Yeah, and then but obviously Zach's got I Don't Want to Change the World.
Oh,
Miracle
now you
Man.
see it, now you don't. That's got a mean riff in
Yeah,
it.
so there's a bunch of killer. Dude, I remember going back and really digging into the Jake Ozzy stuff, and really like, man, there's great. I remember what struck me is how great all the melodies were too.
Oh yeah,
like, all the vocal melodies, even on a song that was kind of a album cut song, it had great melodies. I was like, that's amazing to me. And the riffs are just ferocious and amazing.
Well, you know, back then Ozzy would stay up all night to get those vocals right.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main reason, right? Yeah.
sometimes all week.
Exactly. Really, can't understand why he's struggling in his older years.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know what
he's
happened.
made it further than a lot of, you know.
I guess you just never know, right?
Dude, it blows my mind that unfortunately we live in a world without Ronnie Dio, but Ozzy's still here,
Yeah, we'll still love Ozzy.
and we love Ozzy. That's fine.
That's true. The guy who's been lucky enough to be surrounded by people much more talented than himself his entire career.
And you know, he was a conduit for all those great guitar players,
absolutely right.
and some great drummers too.
Yeah, and great, did awesome shows. I mean, there's Ozzy, I mean, amazing albums. Ozzy's awesome. I mean, you can't say anything bad about. I mean, you can say bad things about him, but like, it's me.
You know what's great is if you're going to say something bad, just say it about Sharon. And you're like, she's totally I see the function she plays in that relationship.
Yeah, she's the whipping boy, sort of. Yeah,
right. She's the total sponge for all the slings and arrows.
Well,
and Ozzy gets to be like, I don't know if that's calculated. Yeah, maybe a little bit of it.
I mean, I'm sure everything that Sharon does is calculated. So trust me.
I mean, think about how that works for the brand, right? Yeah. Ozzy stays beloved, and so he'll always be able to sell an album or a
suit she's currently forming against us right now. She's calculating that.
Oh, right. No, she knows. Dude, I'm sure there's Sharon drones everywhere.
Exactly.
Just that we said her name.
Exactly. It was probably something that's popping off. It was fucking
you know what? We didn't say her full name though, so I think we're safe. We'll have to talk to our lawyers.
Jace Satan. Yeah.
I'll consult with the Rock Guitar Confidential lawyers. I'll consult with our legal team.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
We have a legal team. It's true.
Yes, that's right.
So anyway, as far as emotion though, I don't know. I think people are so complex, man. I think whenever I see an article like that, especially even if it's from some study, there's always. I studied enough about statistics to know that there's ways of like interpreting data that can be really skewed. You know, data doesn't lie, but how you interpret data can be made to look like whatever you feel like you want to, whatever agenda you want to make seem that was happening.
No doubt.
And I think that. I think the thing that is the biggest issue about music nowadays is not so much whether or not people are sad or happy because they listen to certain kinds of music. I feel like it's just that there's not a lot of passion for music. I think that's the thing I find is the biggest issue in pop culture now.
Well, I think I mean, if we want to go down that road, then, you know, most popular music isn't like, it's barely even music.
Yeah, it's basically like cotton candy is food. You know what I mean? It's like it technically is food. You put it in your mouth and it does technically convey calories to you, but there's no nutrition whatsoever to it. You know what I mean? It's you could not live on cotton candy. And we're trying to
the bare minimum of melodic and rhythmic content.
Yeah.
And virtually zero harmonic content.
And virtually zero musicianship. There's almost no musicianship at all.
Whatsoever.
No one's even playing live instruments in popular music. You know what I mean? So that there is, by definition, there isn't any. And I think that's partially I don't know if it's any one person you can blame, because I think at the end of the day, ultimately the audience is going to get what they deserve.
Right. You've got to blame. You've got to blame the majority of the populace.
Yep. I think that's just. I wonder oftentimes how much is that just because of our own sort of perspective, because we're musicians and we're dedicated our entire lives to music, and to us there's nothing more important than music. I wonder if that's just a myopia that of our own creation, that we can't understand why someone else doesn't want to have the greatest experience of music that you could have. Why do you settle for this mediocre crap?
I mean, more broadly, I just, I mean, maybe this may or may not be the correct term, but it's late stage capitalism, right? So, well, and with technology driving it, right? So with the internet, you can reach like way more customers. People's attention spans are shorter
by about a lot,
by a mile, right? So if you're gonna be a seller of music, or if you're gonna be putting music out there,
which we also do, we call ourselves
right? Absolutely. If your goal as a producer of music is to reach as many listeners as possible, you'll make it as simple and stupefied as you can. Because there's more not very smart people in the world than there are very smart people.
I would actually push back on that. I think there's a lot of smart people in the world. I think that there's probably...
I just said more. It could be 51 to 49%.
I think it's actually quite a lot more smart people than there are dumb people in the world. And I think dumb is also a very subjective term, too. This is not just trying to kiss up to the audience, I promise you.
No, well, our audience is of the highest caliber.
But I look at, like... Right. I think there's a lot of smart people. I think it's not about intelligence, it's about passion.
And by the way, there's nothing wrong or morally, I'm not criticizing anyone. If you're dumb, you're dumb.
But I think the thing is, people are so complicated, it's impossible to paint someone with a broad brush like that. There's a lot of people who are dumb in certain... Everybody's dumb in some aspect of their life and smart in some other aspect.
Yep, I'm dumb at math.
Yeah, well, everybody's got stuff that they're dumb at.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And I think that that's something that we have to just acknowledge, that nobody's blameless when it comes to being dumb. And I think that to paint someone and say, like, you're dumb is it's unfair, because there's, I'm sure, many aspects of them that are actually not dumb and completely the opposite of that.
Okay, let me put it. Okay, let me take it from a different tack. Okay, so because communications it's so easy with the internet to transmit stuff. It's easier for corporations and various companies to condition the market to accept a higher quantity of lower quality product.
That's true.
That is cheaper to make.
That's true across all forms of commerce. If you look at anything,
right. So popular music today is the McDonald's hamburger. It's not the best hamburger. It's
just everywhere, and it's right there.
Only, and then from our perspective, I'd say it's not even a McDonald's hamburger. It's kind of it's like Dairy Queen with the dead hikers and the rat turds in it, right? But there's just enough. There's just enough sugary coating to make that
go down smooth.
Dead hiker rat turd goulash go down a little smoother.
I agree. I mean, I think it's more about passion, though, than it's about smart or dumb. I think it's just people aren't excited. I mean, I think it's so weird because of the time that I grew up and then you grew up in. There was less demands on our attention, even though at the time it felt like there was a lot of demands on our attention. Much less than now. And I think that back then, music was such an important part of our lives. Not only just what we listened to every day, but we would go and we start playing guitar, and we go see concerts, and we would tape shows off TV to watch like the music videos, and we would invest in these artists and stuff, and it became a part of your identity. It was something that was so wrapped up with who you are, was the music that you're a part of, if that makes sense. And that's something that was very common, I would say, up till about the mid to late 90s. That was really common. And then in the late 90s, I think once the internet basically took over, and that became like the main form of how people spent their time day to day, then it started morphing into something else and became like sort of like your social media presence, and what your website became more of what that was. And then music became just the thing that's in the background while you've got your TikTok video happening. You know what I mean? And, and that's kind of, and the quality of the music that's being put out there is reflective of that it's just something in the background of your TikTok video. You know what I mean? And I think also that if you combine that with the fact that at that same time, the capacity to actually make an income off of your music became infinitely more impossible to do. Those things were all happening simultaneously. You know what I mean? And I think that's where we end up finding where we are. Now there's upsides to that too, though, in the sense that artists can find audiences to foster, and it's going to be, it's not like you would get the record deal like back in the day, and the next thing you know, you're made.
Right.
But now you have to kind of work at it like any other small business, basically. Just keep slowly building it brick by brick, And I think that's there's upsides and downsides to that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's
This would be a good time to remind everybody to go to www.exaegisband.com.
Yep. And check out the music from the best kind of progressive power metal hard rock band Ex Aegis.
Yep.
And buy 2 or 3, 6 copies of the album. Share it with everyone you know.
Hey, be prepared for Christmas.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
And then make sure that even if you have people for Hanukkah, you have the get prepared for Christmas. And
Right.
and then give them 6 or 7 copies. Just spam their email.
Or Ramadan or
Yep.
any other holiday.
Yeah, it's, Arbor Day. It's
Arbor Day,
it's
right?
always
That's a good
day,
one. I like trees.
and-
Well,
yeah.
actually, you know what? I don't like trees. I've been talking to my girlfriend about getting the trees in front of our house cut down because there's dust on my car.
Oh man,
Dude, and then like I constantly have to clean the bird shits off of it. And
everybody
oh,
send your
man.
cards and letters to Ryan Bowe.
Yeah, man, we had the Clark Pest Control guy come by the other day. I asked him if he could like spray some birdicide around the house in my car,
He
and
brought an eagle and just left out in front of your house.
dude, that would be awesome if like a falconer showed up at my front door.
Yes.
And, yes.
On a horse, just with a hood. You never saw
Hell
his
yeah.
face. That kind of thing.
To hunt down the vermin.
Yes.
All throughout your realm.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. He
And-
came through a portal. It's like a portal just appeared somewhere. It'd be
Dude,
perfect,
and then
yeah.
he just he presses play on his boombox and like Holy Diver comes out and then he goes to work.
Exactly.
Oh man, that'd be great.
So you and I are basically writing screenplays live right now.
Dude, no doubt, man. I've got the best idea for a screenplay.
Let me ask you. Let's get back to the. I got you. We'll get you. We'll get there.
So let's go to the next band that
Okay,
has
yeah.
sad fans.
That'd be any
And,
band that's like Nirvana, Pearl Jam.
We haven't even made it there yet. I mean, I think that's under the sad and angry category.
At themselves for what they've done.
Right. Well, again, like if I liked stuff that sucks, I might be angry and confused all
Yeah,
the time.
totally.
Like,
Yeah.
I'd be like, "Oh man, this shit sandwich tastes
Yeah,
great. I'll
exactly.
take another bite." Just the cognitive dissonance.
Why
would
do
be
I keep
too much.
eating this? I don't
Right. Why do I
understand.
keep?
Yeah. What happened? I don't understand.
But people told me this is what I'm supposed to like.
I know.
Yeah.
Stop listening to what people tell you. You should
Right.
like.
Okay. So the next band on our list. So I quote from the article. Ranking in the second spot is Linkin Park.
This is a band that I actually find has got a passionate fan base that I don't understand because their music is so mediocre. I
Right.
don't get why there's people who are passionate about like, oh, Chester. It's like I didn't even know who that dude was.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean, I've got nothing against Chester Bennington. Rest in peace. Seems like he was a good dude.
Yeah, I mean, that
it's-
being said, his music was entirely unremarkable. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and
It's-
here's the thing about Linkin Park is that, like, yeah, mediocre just sums it up.
yeah, it's meh.
I mean, it's
the,
not-
the band embodiment of meh.
Yeah, I mean,
You
it's
know
like
what I mean?
not terrible.
I think Imagine Dragons is like that now. I think Imagine Dragons is kind of the new Linkin Park.
I think Imagine Dragons is just certifiably terrible, dude.
I think Linkin Park's pretty terrible, though. I mean, I don't see a whole lot of
Linkin Park's better than Imagine Dragons. At least there's like some cool heavy guitar in Linkin Park.
some. I mean, it's
Well, instead of like zero, like why anybody would listen to "Believer" by Imagine Dragons, like why you would elect to listen to that?
you know what's amazing too is there's
I
like
don't know
is there
why.
like 2 or 3 guitar players in that band, and like I never hear any guitar in any of their music.
and you know what? Like I'm gonna put this in the Meatloaf category,
Yeah.
right? Like where the album cover is awesome. Oh my god, there's a dude on a motorcycle and he's flying out of hell and bat wings and stuff. And then you listen to it and you're like, I would do anything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like the worst like bait and switch ever. Okay, the name of the band is Imagine Dragons.
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't-
like
I
why
imagine
is it
people
not
running for their lives in flames and you know,
right? Like, why is it not the most awesome power metal-y thing? You know, or rock or something. Dragon, like what kind of dragons are we imagining? Was Barney the dinosaur a dragon? Is that the dragon we're imagining? Is
Friendly
it like
dragons.
Pete's dragon from
Soft
Stupid
dragons,
Disney?
yeah.
Something like that.
You know,
I
it's
don't
funny though. I'm always baffled by people who are passionate about bands like Imagine Dragons and Linkin Park. It's like there's nothing to be passionate about. It's like the most. Even the people making this clearly aren't passionate about what they're doing. So why are
It's-
you passionate about it?
Yeah, I mean,
don't-
it's just mediocre. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like outright bad. It's just not outright good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that
definitely
sums up
some
most of the
bands
music in
out
the
there.
late '90s, early 2000s. Though that's kind of, to me, is like all that music was all like that. It was just not great or terrible. It was just kind
Yeah,
of
I mean, if you're gonna, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with fusing rap and metal. Anthrax did a great job.
Rage Against the Machine. I
Rage
think.
Against the Machine, yeah, and you know, Audio Slave was good. So
that was way more of a rock band.
it was more of a rock band. You know, best rock band Chris Cornell ever sang for.
I gotta say, I wish they were better though. I wish that the songs were better. 'Cause I feel like they had like one or two good. It's like all their energy got channeled in like 2 or 3 songs, and then if you listen to the rest of the album, there's like nothing memorable in the rest of the album.
You
It's
know,
like,
I think about those Audio Slave albums as albums. I mean, I know there was like the big hits, and they hit hard, man. They were really good.
yeah, I
songs,
wish it was better
but-
though, especially
yeah.
considering the talent level of everyone involved. I would hope to be better than it was. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
tons of
It's-
respect for Tom Morello.
Yep, and I think Chris Cornell is obviously a fantastic singer.
Killer singer.
You know
He
what
was
I mean?
the best vocalist to come out of the early 90s.
Oh, for sure. One of the best vocals come out in the last 30 years.
Yep,
So
and
I
I'm
think
not a
he's-
Lane Staley hater, and well, everyone knows how
I
I,
love
feel
Lane
about the
Staley's
others.
voice.
Yeah, Lane Staley was great, but Chris Cornell was like elite level talent.
Yeah, he could have
vocally.
been a great R&B singer. He could have been a great
Totally.
metal singer. He could do anything with his
Yep.
voice. Real shame that he had the demons that took him out. You know what I mean?
Right, and
It's,
Eddie Vedder is still with us.
yeah.
Right,
No,
like if
I don't wish
anything's
Eddie
gonna
Vedder.
make you lose-
I just wish he would just retire and go play golf.
No, I'm just saying if we
Yeah.
could trade one for the other.
Like, we don't trade lives. Who am I quoting?
Oh crap! You caught me flat-footed.
You're gonna hate when I tell you, man.
Go ahead.
Captain America. Thanks for listening to the Rock Guitar Confidential podcast with Ryan and Scott. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Now back to the show.
Whatever. Captain America.
Oh, that's just poking Ryan. I like that.
No, that's all right. Iron Man's way cooler. He's way cooler.
Dude.
Hey,
well,
Iron Man is for everybody, not just one country.
I'm
Okay.
more of a fan of his ironic cousin, Irony Man.
Irony Man.
So anyway, when it comes to feeling happy or sad, though, I think that, I don't know, I think sometimes it can work both ways. I've met people who listen to the darkest, like thrashiest, most hateful, evil shit, and were like the nicest, sweetest people in the world. And that's just, I guess, they get all their dark emotions out when the music they listen to. And there's people
Oh,
who
yeah.
listen to, like, if you see someone like driving up and they're listening to, like, you know, like ABBA, and it's like a dude, then there's some dark shit. Don't look in this closet at home.
You know, Ghost did a well. In terms of stuff people should be listening to, Ghost did a cover of "I'm a Marionette" by ABBA. That's awesome. So that that was a few years
Unironically
ago.
awesome is what you're saying. It's not.
Yeah, it was truly awesome.
Yeah.
And that kind of established for me, Tobias Forge's his cred when it comes to doing cover tunes. Apparently, Ghost just recently released a 5-song EP. It's got Jesus He Knows Me on it, which is killer. But it's also got We Don't Need Another Hero by
Oh, from
Tina
Tina-
Turner
that's
from the
cool.
Mad Max sound.
Yeah.
So imagine like a kind of a metally yet melodic version with a killer guitar solo.
That's a great song too. I mean, it's yeah.
I spent all yesterday thinking about that as I was
Yeah.
listening to it, running around town doing stuff. And
I think
it's just a great song.
It is a great song. That's one thing that's I think people don't get if you're under a certain age right now is that like when Ryan and I grew up, like all the songs on the radio were freaking killer. They were great.
Right,
You
and
know what I
what's
mean?
great about it, like the melody is great, but the arrangement of that song is awesome.
Dynamics, the musicianship. I mean, it's got it all. It's got
Dude,
everything. You know
the
what I mean?
way that it hits you with the choruses,
Yep.
because it's not. The song continues to evolve as you listen to it.
Yep.
The arrangement,
But there's a lot of
just
familiar stuff that you can grab a hold of, but it becomes something different by the end.
Yeah, it's
And-
so well crafted.
whenever I listen to a
yeah.
Tears for Fears song, I feel that way too. I was listening
Yeah.
to Head Over Heels the other day.
Oh, yeah,
and I was
great
like,
stuff.
it's amazing how that song morphs and twists as it goes along, and it's not just something happens. It's not just that. It goes like this whole other section. It's like this whole. It's like prog rock almost. Yes, for a second.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Good comparison.
And it's like it was really a trip, and I was like, man, this is such high quality stuff. That was a massive radio hit. Even a song like "Your Love" by The Outfield.
Oh,
It's
that's a
got
great song.
Great stuff. I mean, that's a relatively like obscure like hit song from the '80s.
Hey, it's got that iconic harmony guitar hook in it. Yeah.
But that being said, it's everything about that song is great. There's like nothing that's this like a lagging, and I compare that kind of popular music to today's popular music. It's like not even. It's like exactly. It's like going to the club, chilling at the club. You know, it's like that kind of. It's like it just to me, it's fallen off. Not even the side of the earth. It's like out in space somewhere floating.
Hell, when I was a teenager, I got a fake ID when I was 18, and I went to dance clubs all the time. And the music they were playing in the dance clubs, even though it was dancey, was also awesome.
Yeah,
I've many a time. I've expressed my deep and abiding love for New Order and a lot of new wave stuff.
Those are real musicians, though. I mean, those are real
Right.
bands. You know, nowadays what's club music is literally just like a drum machine with like a synth pad just been looped over the top of it. You know, that's basically what dance music is now.
Well, it's cheaper to make.
I call it unch music. You know what I mean? It's just so terrible, man. And sometimes I'll look at that and there's like 6 writers on this. We have the chill channel on Sirius at my house, and we'll put it on sometimes in the background just because it's like a screensaver sort of thing.
The chill channel.
And, it lets smooth electronic music. And people who have Sirius X satellite know what that is.
Okay.
And it's there'll be, and I'll like see, and there's like 6 co-writers for this thing. Like this is literally just like a drum loop with like a keyboard pad and like a couple of tinkled pianos. It took 6 people to write this.
That probably means it uses samples.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So you have to give credit to everyone.
It's so terrible.
That originated the sample.
I just keep thinking like, well, come on, man. Is it that hard? We've had this conversation about becoming a good musician. Like, is it that hard to just learn to be a good musician? Is it that hard? You know what I mean? Just
I mean, I would rather I would rather choose an art form created by a practitioner that was doing more than just like cutting loops together.
Yes.
Although, there's some people there's a band called Fantagram out there where their entire music well, I shouldn't say entire. Their guitar player plays live guitar, and their singer, she sings live as far as I can tell.
So the rest of it's all like loops and stuff.
It is, but it's like, imagine like you cut the loops up so small and then rearrange them that nobody would ever know what its origins
Isn't it
were.
easier just to get a drummer though?
I mean, I don't know. Is it? Well, we'll have a drummer on next week, and so we'll ask him.
I just keep feeling like that. Come on, man. You know, it's funny. The way you feel about the Obi-Wan thing is exactly the way I feel about EDM.
Now you're getting it.
I despise it so much. Every fiber of my being just screams out in anger and just frustration that it exists. You know, it's just like it's so terrible. You know.
Well, EDM is like, you're supposed to be high when you listen to it.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, I mean, I'm being serious.
I know.
Right? You're supposed to be high.
Maybe that's what it is.
On ecstasy when you listen to it.
Maybe that's what I hate about it.
And hey, at least, well, not only are you supposed to be high, you're supposed to be with like 50,000 other people all in the same place.
Yeah, but it's.
So as a
neither of those things really appeal to me.
I'm just making statements of fact.
No, I get you. That's probably why I hate it so much. That's probably there's nothing about it that feels like none of that's like sitting in a coffee house with like 4 other people discussing like literature and pre-Socratic philosophy. That sounds like fun to me. You know what I mean? So
can't both be fun?
They can
anyway.
Be. They can be. I'm not judging. I'm just saying that I think that's why it doesn't appeal to me. I listen I don't.
And just for all of our listeners, I'm 45 years old now, so the days of going to a rave are long behind me.
And I had never had the days of going to the rave. So
raves pre-internet used to be cool because the only way you'd find out about one was word of mouth.
Dude, I can tell you something. I kind of went through a period. This is going to get a little bit like inside the bubble with Scott Allen here. Is when I was a student at MI, my roommates were one of my roommates was also a student there, and he was a jazz guy, and he and I were like frenemies. We got along okay, but we didn't really like each other. And his roommate was like his lapdog who would just do whatever he told him. And
so he had a minion.
Yeah, and I remember we went out and I remember feeling like, man, I should be going out and experiencing the nightlife in Los Angeles. I'm down here. I may as well go do this, And I remember going out to clubs, and the one upside is I remember going to the clubs, and some of the women there were just unbelievably hot, like the hottest women I've ever seen in my life, physically, personally, in person. But then you try to have a conversation with them, and you realize that there's like not much depth there, and it's like there's like a quarter inch of water with not only the women but all the people in the whole place. You try and have
that place isn't about conversation.
No, I get you. And it wasn't. That being said, I was looking to like have a connection with somebody. Like I didn't want to just like it'd be like that.
Yeah, that place isn't about that kind of connection.
As I quickly found out, which is why the club scene was never for me.
Yeah, the club scene is much more primal.
Yeah, I get you.
If everyone out there is picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, I think we understand.
Yes.
And I figured that out pretty quick too. I'm like, okay, it's not for me. I'm not that kind of dude. I'm not the guy that's gonna be like.
I respect that.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And but that being said, I'm not their kind of dude either. So like there's one of those those things like that was a mutual thing. Like we're not for each other, that kind of thing. And
yeah, like deep down, I mean engaging my intellect has proven to be much more sturdy and enriching over time. But during my late teens and early 20s, having some primal fun was also
not judging. Everyone's got to make their own call.
and sometimes enriching.
I got to tell you, everyone's got to make their own call on that, and everyone's journey is different. You know what I mean? And that's the way I look at it.
Totally.
But I had to go through that process because there's a lot of societal pressure. Like you should, especially when you're like 19 or 18. Like
when I was that age, I just wanted to rage.
I get you.
I wanted to rage in every possible way. I wanted to rage at guitar. I wanted to go out. It's just like I'm only going to be this old once. Yeah. Woo!
That's actually
let's
pretty
go nuts.
insightful for that age to understand you're only going to be this age once.
Oh, totally. It's like when I'm still all like young and soft and pink, I want to like get out there and experience all of it.
That makes sense. I think for me, I not to get too personal, but like my growing up phase was plenty of rage for me. I wanted to not rage by the time I was out of a little house. I was like, I want to have peace and calm, and I know what's going to happen today.
Stability, man. I get that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so by then I was just like, I want to just focus on my craft. I was already at 18. Like I want to write songs and get a record deal and go play. I want to go to school and become the greatest guitar player I can be. And I want to find meaningful, even at that age, I want to find meaningful relationships with people that mean something to me. You know what I mean? And that's already where I was at 18. I was not like, I had all my crazy shit happen when I was a kid.
Right. You got all the bullshit out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And I was already like 45 when I was 18, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. It's you turned out pretty great, man.
Oh man, thank you so much, Ryan. You did too, and that's what I mean. There's different paths
thank you.
that lead to the same thing. It's pretty amazing. Everybody out there, whatever your path is, you just got to embrace it and be who you are.
And all of you out there listening, you guys are awesome too, and gals, guys and gals, you're all awesome.
I don't know. You could be terrible. I mean, maybe you are. You have to really look at yourself, but I don't know.
Well, if you want to get all like scientific and analytical about it, man.
Wait, man. Do you like Panic at the Disco? Nah.
Or Linkin Park.
Yeah, you need to really start reading.
Hey, then you're not bad. You're just mediocre.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with being mediocre.
Yeah, we're gonna go mediocre straight to the top.
So now, wasn't it? I will say, and I know the record company was behind this, but isn't it Chester Bennington that's doing like that first Evanescence single that came out?
Oh yeah, the rapping on it. You mean
where they force the "Wake Me Up Inside" and there's "Can't Wake Up."
Yeah.
Like that song would be so much better without the dude singing.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Evanescence didn't want that either.
Yeah, they didn't want that. And the record company forced it on them because they didn't think like Amy Lee as a front woman was viable or they needed to like somehow temper that to find an audience, which is total bullshit.
I mean, I always was a fan of Evanescence. I thought they were good.
Evanescence is cool.
Yeah, there's one of the few bands that actually did play real music in that time period. You know what I mean? So it's
and they didn't need Linkin Park guy.
No.
Can't wake up. He's like screaming it in like super bro voice.
Yeah, I know.
Right? It's like he just ate a piping hot bowl of corn drugs.
These corn drugs make me want to rage.
Can't wake up.
It's got vitamins and such. I think what they were saying though is that Amy Lee's voice was too beautiful and lilting for them to actually make that like a rock song.
Dude, her voice isn't lilting at all.
Well, I mean, I know, but they think a female vocalist is not going to have the balls.
Some dude in a suit and a tie who's not a musician.
Yeah,
right.
Sounds kind of fey to me. I don't know. It's like, I mean, it's funny. You know what's funny though? I'll tell you this, and then we'll probably start wrapping up here on this. But
start wrapping up.
Yes, exactly. We're going to start our rap career. Honestly, what we're doing right now is probably better than most mumble rap. So,
it took like 38 episodes, but I finally beatboxed on the podcast.
Everyone's been waiting for it. If you have your pool at the beginning of the podcast, you just won your pool.
And you know what? Like, whatever happened to beatboxing in rap and hip hop? Like, that was a skill.
I'm not going to acknowledge that.
That was a thing that you did with your mouth and your hand that, resulted in a sound, right? It wasn't digital. Right? So what happened to
already passed the whole clubbing stage.
What happened to the art of beatboxing? Come on now.
This is not about the clubs, man. We're not talking about that anymore.
I mean, there was no one for the fat boys to pass the baton to, or that's a shame.
All right, hang on.
It's a total shame. Okay. Go ahead, make your point. We have one more paragraph.
Okay, and then we'll start wrapping up this because you guys are hanging with us on a very freewheeling podcast today. What I was going to say is that the guys in suits back in the 70s and 80s, though, were actually guys who used to be musicians, guys who have had a track record of writing songs themselves. Looking at people like Ted Templeman.
Producer of the early Van Halen albums.
That guy, who was also himself a great musician. You think about all the people who were the producers in those time period.
Yep.
You could go down the line.
Hey, if you think that Eruption is awesome and it changed your life, then you owe a debt of gratitude to Ted Templeman.
But he's the guy who had enough foresight to realize this is important. We need to put this on the record.
Press record. That
kind
too.
of thing.
Yep.
Well, Don Landee basically already was recording. He was recording everything anyway. And
Nice.
Ted's like, this has got to go on the record. Same with Spanish Fly. Spanish Fly was something that he insisted was on the album. All those great Van Halen instrumentals were all stuff that Ted Templeman was behind.
Right, and those were just like outtakes.
Yeah, it's stuff he was just doing and said, let's just record that. And then they put it out and become iconic. You know
Love
what I mean?
that.
It's so crazy. But that was a time period where the people who were the suits were actually musicians themselves and passionate about music. Even the people who owned the record labels were musicians and people who were passionate about music. It wasn't until it became a straight up just corporate arm that things started changing. You know what I mean? And
so there's a message, a moral out there, right? So, wherever you're spending your money, right? Like whether it's the music you're consuming or the place maybe where you take lessons, look all the way to the top. And if the people that are providing it or running it, if those people are not musicians, you probably shouldn't spend your money there.
yeah, it's true.
There we go. Man, damn.
Profound, Ryan. Profound.
I'm telling you, vote with your pocketbook,
It's true.
people.
And it's what people do it all the time.
Okay, so we got one more paragraph here. This is the third paragraph. So we're still talking about the bands whose fans are the saddest and angriest.
All right.
So I'm quoting now from the article, and then we will discuss. Paragraph number 3, and I quote, joint third are Nirvana and Metallica. The latter band, meaning Metallica, the latter band's presence here confusing us the most, as personally we find ourselves feeling more pumped than miserable when listening to the San Francisco metal giants. But hey, science.
That's the end quote, hey, science.
Yeah, the last line says, but hey, comma, science.
Science is like,
period.
don't blame me for this, dude.
Yeah, they're like, well, sorry, science. It says that, so notice I used a certain pronunciation.
Yeah.
So I'm delineating from the Black Album to today. That
Yes.
is, so I just
Well, actually, every
decided to call
Metallica fan does that anyway. You know
that,
what I
right.
mean? Yeah.
So we're calling that Metallica.
Yeah.
And then before that, there was Metallica for 4 awesome albums. Before
I would think that people would be sad
Great
with
Betrayal.
Nirvana just because, not only because of the terrible music, but because they are the band most directly responsible for the death of rock and roll. So I think that would make them sad too. Like, well, rock died because of these guys.
Well, I
you know.
mean, we could spend like a whole other hour talking about like why Nirvana should make a person sad.
Yeah, it made me sad at the time they came out. I was terribly sad. Like, why
Yeah.
am my ears listening to this? This doesn't make any sense. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so,
It makes me sad that, someone hasn't developed a time machine. So, we could go back to the day that Kurt Cobain
Right
picked
the
up
wrong,
a
yeah.
guitar and just, maybe assassinate him.
no, I'll just say, hey, start video games. Just go do video games. Here's a Sega Genesis.
Dude, have you heard about Sega Genesis?
Yes, just play this.
It's got blast processing.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, hey, Kurt, let me introduce you to my buddy Sonic the Hedgehog.
Exactly. And he might still be alive today, and we would never have heard of Courtney Love. Nirvana wouldn't have been existing.
Yeah.
I mean,
perhaps, that's a good point. We
rock and
never
roll
would have
still
heard of Courtney
exists.
Love. That
Yeah.
would have been great.
I mean, there's so many things. We wouldn't have had Pearl Jam. I mean, there's a lot of really. I think Alice in
Yeah.
Chains and Soundgarden would have come out no matter
Alice in
what.
Chains and Soundgarden
Yeah.
would have made it on their own
Yeah.
because they were good.
Yep, exactly. Everyone
It's
else,
funny how being good would have totally carried
the
them
fact
through.
that you and I, as dedicated metalheads, still liked Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, even in the midst of our angst about how grunge was killing everything.
Louder Than
that tells
Love-
you how good that music was.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Louder Than Love and Bad Motorfinger, I thought were great. What was the third album?
I don't know. I've kind of cherry picked, but my experience with Soundgarden has been that of just acceptance. I don't love
Yeah.
Soundgarden. I love Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains,
Yeah,
I've
Alice in
always
Chains
thought was
is great.
awesome. You know
Totally.
what I mean?
I mean, Jerry Cantrell is awesome.
I think
Total
the
double threat.
songwriting is so good and so much higher level than any of the other bands from that era. You know what I mean?
Black Hole Sun. Okay, by the time that Soundgarden got to the, I wanted another Rusty Chain or Jesus Christ Pose.
Outshined.
Outshine.
That was a good
I
song,
wanted
yeah.
another Outshined, and instead I got Black Hole Sun.
Yeah, that's a massive hit though, man. Those guys paid for all their houses on that hit.
Yeah, well,
you know?
that's great, but talk about a song that makes me bummed. Like if I show up for outshined, and instead, like if I'm at the diner and I order outshined,
And they bring
and
out this
then you
plate
bring
of
me a
Black Hole
steaming
Sun.
hot plate of Black Hole Sun, I'm bummed.
Yeah.
That would make me sad.
Yeah, you should have gone to the Alice in Chains diner and ordered like Man in the Box with a side of the Rooster.
Order a man in the box of corn trucks.
Wood.
A man in the box of wood.
Exactly.
He's just a little man in
With
a
some
jewelry
corn
box.
trucks.
Yes, it's a music box.
By the way, I think
Yes.
corn trucks are so delicious. Did you hear they've
Here we go.
got vitamins and such?
Yes, in siege.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's any
Yeah.
correlation to bands making people feel a certain way. I think that God, in my experience with people when it comes to
Well-
what bands they like or don't like, it's so much about happenstance. It's just how something hits you at a certain time in your life. It makes you like that band or not like that
Well,
band.
if we're talking about the Metallica stuff, I mean, I don't know. I like people who truly appreciate and are fired up about Metallica. Like, I don't see them as being angry or sad people, but
Which is almost everybody nowadays, which is weird to see. Actually, there's so many Metallica fans. It's almost ludicrous.
well, that's why I'm making a delineation. There's
Yeah.
lots of Metallica fans.
I don't know if I agree with that, man. I think that most people who are fans of that band are fans of the first 4 or 5 albums.
I think you
know
can.
what I mean?
I think you can tell. Well, okay. So Stranger Things did a lot of good in bringing Master of Puppets back to prominence. I still wonder how many kids actually, like, how many young Stranger Things fans, like, only ever listened to Master of Puppets and never listened to the whole album.
I would have to guess like 90+%.
Yeah, isn't that
That's
crazy?
but
Like-
then that being said, there's probably like 2 or 3% who went on
Yeah.
to discover Metallica, and then maybe
Totally.
they became metal fans themselves because of that. You know what I mean?
yeah, and then all these years later, they could get disappointed by the Black Album too.
I actually
and
really
they
like the Black
could-
Album, dude. You got to keep poking the bear. I swear.
Man, I'm spicy today, man.
I don't
I'm
have,
having a good time.
let's put it this way, I liked the Black Album. I wasn't like, it's not my favorite Metallica album, but I didn't have anything about it I didn't like. I thought it was fine.
The Black
you know?
Album is kind of like, it's the Linkin Park of Metallica albums.
No, because Load.
It's
come out after
mediocre.
Load is such a pile of garbage compared to
It is. I
I
think
mean,
Until It Sleeps wasn't terrible. I'd rather listen to Until It Sleeps than Nothing Else Matters.
really
any day of
nothing
the
that they
week.
put out until I would say Hardwired to Self-Destruct was like something I really thought was good.
Yeah,
And
by then I'm just totally out. Man.
Yeah, it's hard. It's very difficult to be a thrash metal band, singing about angst and anger when you're like a multi-millionaire in your late 50s.
Dude, yeah.
it's kind of hard to find that gear of like, I'm mad, everything.
So I'm gonna go totally dark, and this kind of sums up like who I think the typical Metallica fan is.
Okay, brace yourselves, people.
All right, so there was that guy, that Chris Watts guy that murdered his family a few years back in Colorado.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, he's like a family annihilator, like total douchebag, right? Like,
Was
clear-
it like a kid that killed his parents or something? or-
no, it was like a dude who killed his wife and his 2 daughters. Like, he was
Oh,
having an
okay,
affair, so he murdered his family.
Oh, okay, okay.
Thinking he'd get it. Like, total narcissist, but like they call him like covert narcissists.
Huh. Okay.
Right, because he seemed like totally introverted dude or whatever, but worked. There's a documentary about.
Oh, so he
it on
wasn't like a
Netflix.
grandiose like narcissist. He was much more like just hated everybody.
Yeah, he
around
just
him,
seemed like a bro,
okay.
right? But like an introverted bro. Like he ate corn trucks, but like nobody ever knew he ate corn trucks.
Hid inside a Honey Nut Cheerios box, sort of.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of like I found the documentary interesting. I mean, first of all, it's terribly tragic. It's
Yeah, of
horrible,
course.
right? Like, it's full stop. But the lives these people were leading, right? Like his wife that he murdered, she was in like multi-level marketing and stuff, and they lived in a cookie cutter house in Colorado. Had a lot of just living this totally like seemingly lame, seemed like just a very in reality kind of empty type of existence, right? And the dude had like the Metallica logo with the 4 M's that are made into like a Chinese throwing star.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had that tattooed all over his back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like just that kind of douche. That's I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Feel like
I don't know if I could put like mass murderers or typical.
maybe not
Metallica
the
fans.
murder part, but just like that, just that like no personality guy who doesn't really.
People are more
don't
complex than
know.
you think. I mean, especially people like in that sort of world. I think when you have kids and when you're in a situation where you're responsible for the raising them,
Number one, do not murder them.
that seems like they should be on the book on the first page, but I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that was
no
out there.
murder.
Definitely do not.
But
murder
people,
them.
there's a thing that happens, especially if you have kids young. If you have kids, like say, like you're 19, 20 years old, and you have kids, and say by the time you're 25, you have 4 kids. You never had a chance to live for yourself, really, at that point. And I
want to give a shout out to my buddy Jason out there. I love you, Jason.
But I guess
This one's for you.
I'm trying to have some empathy for that, where that's coming from. And I think that at a certain point, when you're in that spot, you have to just sort of like figure out who you are, and sometimes you try different personalities on,
Yes.
and that's
And I should also mention, Jason was with me at those raves and clubs before he had his 7 kids. So.
Well, I can only tell you this though, that I have empathy for those people in a lot of ways, because you don't have a whole lot of you that matters when you have. At least if you're a good parent, your life kind of takes a back seat to your kids' lives for a good long time. And I think that especially if you have that young, I can't imagine, because I had my first child when I was 30. And so I had all my 20s by then.
Yeah,
You
you
know
were
what I mean?
already a fully actualized person.
Exactly. So I wasn't like at 21 trying to become a dad. I was already a grown man. You know what I mean? And my second child when I was 35. So it's like one of those things where it's like, I was already well into my adulthood by the time I had kids.
Yep.
And I'm not saying I did it the way everyone should do. I'm just saying it worked for me.
But you
Yeah.
just so happens you were already a responsible, fully formed adult.
Yep. And I feel like
that's important,
if you have kids early, and you have a lot of kids early, I could see how, something like getting into anything that you can do to support your family is what you do. And sometimes that leads you to paths that you wouldn't have chosen necessarily. I see a lot of people who are 40, 45 years old who kind of chose a path that they didn't really want because they had no other option at the time, and now they feel stuck. And
Yep.
and they're looking for anything they can to
tough.
get that angst out there. I think there's a lot of reasons why people end up where they are. You know what I mean? And I feel like Metallica, if it gives them something that's kind of allows them to get some catharsis, they get out that's a good thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Metallica, yes, but Metallica, no.
Yeah, so what you're trying to say is there's no acceptable reason to have a Metallica in your life.
No, there really isn't, because there's better stuff out there.
By far. There
By
definitely
far.
is. Oh, yeah.
I mean, hell, you know what? Listen to Megadeth.
Yep. Well, you should have done that from the beginning. Megadeth's
Yeah.
always been better than Metallica.
Right.
It's Testament, too, by the way, always been better than Metallica.
Well, if we're going to get into like the second wave, I was kind of sticking to like the
I
big
just
four.
think
Listen to Anthrax.
I like who's the best of those bands. To me, Megadeth and Testament stand head and shoulders.
Well,
above
no,
all
I'm
the
just
other
saying
bands.
that. Okay, so
Yeah.
there's the big four, like the first wave,
Yeah.
right? That's
and
the
like
Slayer,
Overkill,
Megadeth,
Death Angels, Testament,
and then there's
yeah.
the second wave, and yeah, those bands.
I would
Death
also throw
Angel,
what's
Testament.
the band, the Canadian band?
Triumph.
No, the thrash band. Can't believe I'm spacing.
What are you trying to tell me that Follow Your Heart isn't thrashy?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, okay.
Well, goddamn, I can't believe I'm spacing on the name of the band. It's a Canadian thrash band.
Canadian thrash
I
band.
can't
Okay,
believe
so
I'm spacing.
Overkill is from like New York,
Yeah,
right?
Overkill, Testament, Death Angel are the next wave to my mind. And then
Oh, you're talking about Anvil.
no, Anvil's not a thrash band.
Well, they're Canadian.
They are Canadian. That's true. There's many people from Canada. I can't. It's going to drive me nuts. Someone out there right now is screaming at their speakers right now or their headphones saying, "I
Right.
know what band you're talking about," and I'm totally spacing on the name of the band. But there's another band that's in that same.
God, who's the Canadian thrash band?
I cannot think of the name. Actually, if there,
I mean, I guess yeah, you can go and look it up. So
If
while
only there was a
okay,
device.
Scott's going to the cloud to actually
It's gonna
find
drive
out
me
what we're talking
nuts.
about here. So I'm going to continue with the article. The next paragraph. Let's see. With the next handful of artists coming from the pop genre, the last rock band to appear in the list, ranking 10th, is My Chemical Romance. I've got a lot of young, like teenage students who love MCR.
I got it.
That's how I know to call them
Annihilator.
MCR. Oh, Annihilator. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I remember them.
Annihilator. That is a unbelievably good band from that time, from Canada, thrash band.
Didn't they have something going on with like their album covers, like a theme? Maybe not. Let's see here. So let's see. Other surprising results show that R&B music has a far greater effect on its listeners when it came to making them angry.
That surprised me because R&B
Yep.
music I always thought was kind of like, I think if you go further, isn't R&B
Yeah.
in that like, isn't that Kanye West or something like
Well,
that?
they mention here after the semicolon a complete rejection of the stereotype that suggests that rock and metal is the most anger-inducing genre. That said, Guns N' Roses and Metallica share 6th slot in, quote, artists most likely to make their fans feel angry, ranking below artists such as and we use the term artist loosely, such as Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, and Kanye West.
That's what I mean. I don't consider those guys R&B. I consider that.
I don't.
That's like rap. You know what I mean?
You know, Tina Turner just died.
Yeah.
She's R&B.
Yeah, I consider like the Commodores R&B. You know.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then the bands like
Marvin
that.
Gaye.
Yeah, Marvin Gaye. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's R&B. I don't consider Cardi B to be that R&B at all. That's rap.
That's R and Cardi B.
Yeah. Commodores, by the way, were big in R&D back in the 70s too. They were responsible for the first jet engines, I think.
Well, they were responsible for the first home computers, the Commodore 64. Like they actually, like Lionel Richie actually built the prototype
exactly.
from scratch.
People don't know this. This is important stuff that they know. You know.
Yeah, so
I'm actually surprised to hear that, but I mean, I don't find rap to be like a particular. I mean, I don't listen to it very much, so it's like one of the things I really don't have a big opinion on. But I don't necessarily find it to be a rage-inducing thing. I just feel like, okay, this is, why is there no music here? Why is there no, like, there's no harmony, there's no rhythm, there's no musicianship. It's just,
it's like if you went to McDonald's and had the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit for breakfast, you feel like you ate a lot of food, but you're going to be hungry like 2 hours later.
Yeah, less than that. I mean, it's like,
right.
There's no meat on them bones. If that makes sense.
There's absolutely no nutritional value.
Yeah.
So it also says here and this is interesting to me. This is half interesting to me. when it came to happiness, Ed Sheeran and U2 were at the top of the board with their music both containing, quote, metaphors that connect fans to joyful, carefree moments in life, make the songs particularly relatable.
I don't know.
I mean, I can see U2, right? Yeah. Like, I think I can understand how going to a U2 show could, like, if you saw U2 live at Red Rocks, I can accept that would be maybe an uplifting, positive experience. I mean, there's positivity there for sure.
Yeah, no, I love U2. I mean,
yeah, totally.
And Ed Sheeran's a real musician. I don't think.
Wait, is he?
He can really play and sing. I respect for that. But that being said,
there's a YouTuber, Steve Terraberry. So giving him a shout out.
Okay.
Maybe one day we'll have him on the podcast. I really enjoy his podcast YouTube channel.
Yep.
He builds an Ed Sheeran meme guitar, where like the meme is it's a Stratocaster body with the neck like chopped off at the 4th fret and reattached. So he actually goes to his buddy's guitar shop. You guys can see this on YouTube, and they find a Squier Strat and they saw the neck at the 4th fret and then reattach it. So there's only like 3 frets. It's the Ed Sheeran Stratocaster.
Well, how do you put the capo on there then?
Well, so it's only got 3 frets.
Yeah.
So you put the capo on fret number 2.
Well, I find his music to be entirely unremarkable.
You could only play like A minor 7 flat 5. It's only got 1 fret.
You know what though? I think that's a good poster child though for people who just don't have standards. It's like, okay, that's fine. But Ed Sheeran is a million times better than Cardi B. It's like, to me, that's
he does play what is known as a guitar.
That's true.
So that gives you some points right there.
Exactly. So
yes.
Anyway, that's a good place to wrap up, guys. I think hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully we've inspired some thought on your part about what you want to get from music and what you like about music. Maybe you have an understanding now of why you are gravitating towards rock guitar, which is objectively the greatest form of music that's ever been invented.
Without a doubt.
Yep. And then now you know why you're awesome and why the music you like is awesome. And I also now know that one of the great Canadian thrash bands is Annihilator, which I can't believe I couldn't remember.
Right. And not to be confused with Triumph.
That's right. Although everyone confuses those two bands. Maybe April Wine's in there too. Same thing.
April Wine was so. You know what, man? We could do a whole episode. April Wine, who wrote and performed "I Like to Rock."
Yep.
Dude, we need more songs out in the world just written about rocking.
Yep, I agree.
If you want to know what to write, all of you out there who are musicians, if you're thinking you might want to get into songwriting, just write a song about rocking.
Yep, and as we all know, any problem caused by rocking can be solved by rocking.
Yes, any problem at all can be solved by rocking.
That's true.
Just whatever
By the way,
it is.
because I just don't want this to ever become a thing in like Google. Rush, the greatest Canadian band ever.
Rush.
Because I don't want us talking about Canadian rock bands and not mentioning Rush, because that would be like the one time that's ever happened in the history of humanity, and I don't want us to be that podcast.
And hey, Rush solved their problems by rocking.
By rocking.
And
it solved our problems by rocking too. I mean, the Rush.
Totally.
I mean, they're just the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Absolutely. So whatever you're doing out there, if you're at a restaurant, if you're waiting for your drink to come out, it's taking too long, just start rocking.
Yep. And then everything will work out.
Totally, man.
If you're on trial for Grand Theft or something, just rock.
Just rock.
And it turns out the judge is also into rock. He's like, yeah, this is awesome.
Like if a hurricane comes through your town, if you get rocked like one,
exactly,
then you should rock back.
Exactly.
And that'll solve all the problems.
They're equal and opposite opposing forces of rocking.
Yes, suffering from credit card debt, or did you work at Camp Lejeune?
Try rocking.
Try rocking. That'll solve the problem.
All right, guys. So do me a favor. Everyone go out there and check out our band website at www.xagesband.com. Also get our socials, which is facebook.com/xagesband, instagram.com/xagesband, and twitter.com/xagesband. Please check those guys out. Make sure to rate and subscribe this podcast. Ryan, go for it.
That's www.exagesband.com.
That was really fast. I don't think they even got the spelling. Oh my God.
It never hurts to communicate clearly.
It does. I'll try that sometime.
Or just try rocking.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.